Good afternoon, everyone. I'm in northern Minnesota, about 20 miles, I think, south of the US-Canadian border, and I'm about to embark on an adventure. Usually my videos consist of me going hiking during the day, or seeing interesting historical sites, or enjoying natural scenic wonders, and then I come back to my car at the end of the day and I camp in it, I sleep in it. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm spending the night out on the lake or by the lake tonight. I'm going to be doing a mix of hiking and paddling on this trip with my pack raft here. And to start off, we're doing I think it's 0.6 or 0.7 mile walk to the first of a few different lakes. Okay, I'm at the first lake. Didn't take very long to get here at all. It was just a flat walk to get here. There's a little waterfall on the other side of the lake. That's where I'm heading to. So I'm gonna get the raft out here, inflate it, then paddle over to that waterfall. There is a trail that goes on the other side of this creek here to the waterfall. And that would save me having to set up the boat here and then paddle across, but I think it's kind of fun. I mean, that's why I'm here. So I'm gonna whip out the pack raft. This is the Kokopelli Twain 2-person pack raft. By the way, I've shown it once before in a video, and it's gonna be the star of this one. I'm using this little portable hand pump that Kokopelli, the company that makes the pack raft, also sells. Really handy, USB chargeable. So that little hand pump pumps it up most of the way, and then this little mouth pump tops it off. Okay, 5 or 6 breaths. I think that good enough for that side. So if you couldn't tell, there are 2 chambers here. There's a front chamber and a rear air chamber. All right. Total elapsed time to inflate it, 4 minutes. There is a seat. There are 2 seats actually. Like I said, this is a 2-person pack raft. I only brought 1 seat because it's just me on this trip. My wife isn't with me right now, so I could either choose to put this seat in the front or in the back. I'm going to try putting it in the front, which is kind of in the middle. I've never done that before, and I wanted to try it on this trip. And then there's an inflatable seat. And then finally there's a fin, there's a skeg that attaches to the bottom here. Okay. Check out these turtles sunning themselves on the log over here. All right, well, this feels great. No bugs out on the water, it seems like. There's a little bit of a breeze that's helping keep the worst of the bugs down, I think. And this is so awesome. This is so fun. So you might have heard of the Boundary Waters, Wilderness, or Boundary Waters Canoe Area. This isn't that. I'm only 2 or 3 miles from there. I chose not to do this trip there for a few different reasons. First of all, because you need a permit, and you have to pay for the permit. Second of all, it's wilderness, so you can't fly a drone there. I do have my drone with me. And third, I've heard about how crowded the entrance points of the Boundary Waters canoe area is. So you have to enter the wilderness at certain points. And I know that, you know, once you get going, you can spend 2 weeks or a month or months at a time out there and not see too many people, but you have to get away from those entrance areas. I'm only doing this as a single overnight trip. And so, you know, I'm really not gonna get that far away from the entrance. And so when I told my cousin, I think it was even last year, that I was thinking about doing this trip, he said, "Oh, you should go here, you should do this." He and his brother, or brothers, my other cousins, did this trip a couple of years ago and really liked it. So I'm basically doing what they did, copying their trip, copying their itinerary. So huge thanks to Eric for telling me about this place and giving me tips and everything. And so I am headed over to this waterfall over here, just a short paddle across the tail end of this lake here from the end of the trail right there to the waterfall right here. So from here, once I land next to the waterfall here, I'm going to walk, going to Portage or Portage for my Canadian friends, my French Canadian friends. Going to Portage over to the other lake, which is really not very far over that way. And here's a closer look at the waterfall. I think I'm gonna dock over at the right side and then haul the gear up and take a look at it from above. Okay, the water is down there. I brought up all the stuff to dry land. The other lake is just a short distance over there, but let's go check out the little waterfall here. Okay, yeah, I just checked the map. This is a 400-foot portage. Oh, lots of little fish in here, like 3 and 4 inch fish. I don't know if you can see that. There's a whole little school of them. I have seen some larger fish rise. Not sure what kinds of fish are in here. I assume bass. That first lake is actually called Bass Lake. I don't remember what this lake is called. I'll check in a second. Let's see if I can push off without getting my feet wet. Oh yeah, that worked. Shockingly. Just gotta clear this little marshy, swampy area, and I'll be out on the open lake. So I just checked. This is called Dry Lake. Definitely not dry right now. And I'm gonna paddle along this right bank, aiming for the far side over there. It'll be about a half-mile paddle. I will be crossing or passing by a couple of campsites. So I think you're only allowed to camp in designated spots. Or maybe you're just strongly encouraged, I don't know, but there are a handful of campsites on each lake here, and each campsite is marked on the map. I'm not planning on camping at this lake. I'm planning on camping at the next lake over, but I'd still like to disembark and go explore, see what the campsites are like on this lake, because who knows, maybe the ones over on that other lake will be full and I will have to come back to this one. But oh, this is awesome. What a beautiful, quiet spot. Coming here was a good decision. I think there's a campsite on this little peninsula here, which would be a pretty good spot. There's I think a fair amount of wind I didn't bring any kind of rope. Actually, that's not true. I do have a rope to tie this off with, but I don't think I'm gonna mess with that. I think I'll just pull it up on the bank here and hope it doesn't float away. Famous last words. Well, there's not a whole lot to this campsite. There's barely room for a tent. I mean, maybe you could fit a one-person tent, a one-man tent right here. But that's about it. There's a little fire ring. Great position, though. Like I said, it's on a peninsula, so there's water all the way around, or at least on 3 sides here. Cool spot, but I don't think this is going to be the spot where I'm going to spend the night. Okay, so according to the map, there should be a couple of creeks emptying into this lake, and there's a portage trail somewhere near the one that's to the left. That's pretty cool. There's some solid rock slopes, kind of, these solid rock blobs that come down into the lake. I think I'm gonna go paddle over there. I'm in no particular rush. I mean, I'd like to find a campsite, but it's still pretty early in the day, so I can take a slight detour. Yeah, these rocks are awesome. I love that. If I were here in a rainstorm, I'd want to slide on down into the water. All right, let's paddle back. I was gonna say let's drive back. Let's paddle back to the portage here. And I just saw a fish rise right here. I've seen several fish rise. There are definitely fish in these lakes. Pretty sure there are bass. Like I said, that lake is called Bass Lake, but I don't know what else is in here. I don't know what other species are in here. Alrighty, portage. Oh yeah, lots of fish. What kinds of fish are those? I can't tell. Portage number 2. Terra firma. This portage is a 1/4 mile. Check out this frog. Nearly stepped on him. Lake number 3. This one is called High Lake, and this is the one that I'm going to camp on, I think. Really, really pretty. Feels very wild. So this, it's hard to tell in the camera and even in person, but this is the tip of a peninsula. So there's a peninsula that comes out like this. And then there's a little channel here that goes to a larger portion of the lake on the other side of the peninsula. There are campsites here on the peninsula, and there's a campsite on the left side of the peninsula. My cousin said that I should try for that one, or that one was a good one to potentially camp at. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I was dreading this because the bugs have been so bad the last few days. Like yesterday, I actually was in the Boundary Waters canoe area wilderness yesterday hiking. I hiked up Eagle Mountain, which is the highest mountain in Minnesota. That'll be part of an Adventure Know-How bonus video if you want to check that out, if you're an Adventure Know-How member. But the bugs were just horrendous, like tons of mosquitoes, tons and tons of black flies. And so I was thinking, man, if there are this many bugs up here, how many more are there going to be when I'm camped right on the water and when I'm paddling on the water? But they haven't been too bad on the water. In the forest, yeah, there are quite a few. But once you're out on the water, it's really nice. There's that nice breeze and it just feels much less buggy out here. And my cousin Eric said that that would be the case. He was like, yeah, during the day they weren't bad at all. On the water they weren't bad at all, but then at night, that's when they really came out. So I think that's what he said. So I think somewhere in this little cove is a spot where I can land and access the campsite. I think the campsite is somewhere over here. Okay, do I see anything? No, I don't. Let's explore a little bit. Well, I don't really want to go bushwhacking through this. And there's not really a trail. I mean, there's gotta be a path leading to a campsite somewhere over here. Maybe it's in the next little cove over. Let's go check that out. Huh. Well, I guess it's a good thing I didn't really want to camp at this one. Let's go around the peninsula the other way to the other side. See if I can find the campsite that's over there. I think we found a campsite. So there are pros and cons to this campsite. Pros, it's in a beautiful location. Great spot. Got some amenities like a little log bench and a fire grate or a grill. A couple of stumps to sit on. One big pro, and to be honest, it might be the deciding factor that made me choose this spot, is that it's full on in the wind. It's facing the wind, and so it's helping to keep the bugs at bay a little bit. The biggest con of this spot is that it's not really flat. There's not really a good spot for a tent, which is weird. There are really two potential tent sites. This one that's a little bit not overgrown, but there's like grass growing on it. And this one, which is, I guess, a little bit flatter. So I think I'm gonna try to pitch the tent here, but it's not great. It's not flat, but I'll do the best I can here. Let me get everything all set up. Let me pull the pack raft up and out of the water, and I think I'm just gonna set up everything, get the tent set up and my sleeping bag and get it all done. Then I'll give you a tour here. Well, we'll see how it actually ends up working when I'm in it, and see if I either slide off this way or slide off down that way, but it's all set up. I really like this tent. This is the Big Sky Soul, I think it's called. One-person tent. And I've used this probably 6 or 8 nights, so it's still relatively new. Great little tent though, very, very light. I think this is the lightest freestanding tent I could find. And inside I've got this yellow thing is my inflatable mattress, my sleeping pad. This red thing is my sleeping bag that I made several years ago. It's like a 40-ish degree equivalent synthetic sleeping bag. Then I've got my jackets and stuff right here. That camo thing is a little travel pillow. And then I've got some toiletries and socks and things right there. And the flies are really coming out. The black flies are really coming out. Let me put a head net on. Much better. So anyway, the tent is up there, and then downhill from there is the fire pit area. I've decided to make this the general gear storage area. I brought fishing stuff with me on this trip. So this is a a 4-piece spinning rod and reel. This is a, what is this? Daiwa Spinmatic rod and a Daiwa Strike Force 1000B reel. I don't use this kind of fishing gear very much. I'm a Tenkara angler. I did bring a Tenkara rod. Tenkara is a simple form of Japanese fly fishing, and I don't use traditional fishing gear, normal fishing gear very much, but I thought, you know what? That sounds like fun. I think that would be fun. So I brought that, got my little packable net right here. This is kind of a cool net. It has a bendy rim. It's called a handy pack net, and then I put a new net bag into it that'll help measure the fish if I catch any here. And a selection of lures, mostly spoons and rooster tails. This little blue dry bag here has electronics in it, so a bunch of camera stuff like batteries and accessories and spare microphones, that sort of thing. Plus my keys and wallet are in there. And then my backpack is sitting next to it. It's mostly empty now, but I do have a couple water bottles on it. And then down here, got the pack raft strapped to the tree with one of its own straps there, so it can't blow away during the night. And my PFD right there, and then the paddles hanging up or leaning up next to it. I'm hungry, so it's dinner time. I'm not really a cooking kind of person. I don't like to cook at home. I really don't like to cook when I'm out traveling, so I brought a bunch of food that is basically snack food, stuff that doesn't need to be cooked at all. Here's all the food laid out, and I showed some of this in the last video, the pictured rocks hiking video. Beef jerky, some nuts, some fig bars. I picked these up today in town nearby. And then some blueberries, some more jerky, and then some breakfast, what are these called? Breakfast biscuits and a Reese's. Basically, I just need food for tonight, and then in the morning, then I'll have lunch once I get out of here. So here's some big old blueberries. That's good. I'm gonna try my hand at fishing here, see if I can catch anything. I don't have super high hopes, but that's kind of the nice thing about fishing. Even if you don't catch anything, it's still relaxing, mostly. And in case you're wondering why I'm rocking my socks like this, I wanted to tuck my pant legs into the socks so that black flies mostly couldn't fly up in there and bite my legs. Well, can you see all the bugs around me? They're getting worse. So I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna head into the tent. I'm not looking forward to bringing a couple dozen of them with me into the tent. But fishing was, I was gonna say successful, but I didn't actually land any. I hooked onto 3, but they got off, so I'll try again in the morning. We'll see. Oh, got one. Oh, so close. Almost had that one in. I also saw an otter. I think it's an otter. I don't think it's a beaver, but it was a pretty large animal swimming around pretty close to me. I didn't have this camera with me. I was over there fishing, but I did have my phone, so I snapped some video of it, and I'll put that here. I've got everything put away and organized here, and I hung up my food bag in a tree over there. I'm ready to head on in for the night. I'll see you guys in the morning. Morning, everyone. I slept surprisingly well last night. I went to bed at about 10, woke up at about 6, got a lot of sleep. I woke up several times during the night, but I always do, so that wasn't a huge issue. It was nice and cool. It was probably 45 degrees last night. It's warmed up already, but it was chilly last night. But I slept great, and I usually don't have a fire when I camp. I almost never have one when I'm camping in my car, but I feel like when I'm tent camping, it's more cozy to have a fire, you know? Plus, this is helping to keep the bugs away, so really happy about that. Gonna have my breakfast now, such as it is. Some jerky and breakfast biscuits. I wasn't recording, but I caught a tiny little fish. I didn't want to waste GoPro batteries. Pretty little fish. Those fish that I caught yesterday were definitely, or that I hooked into yesterday, were definitely not bluegill. They were long and skinny like trout, and I think they probably were trout, brook trout. I believe this lake is managed as a trout lake, so that's my guess as to what they were. I'm feeling like getting back out on the water. Let's dust off the pack raft, and I want to head out to these islands out here. There are a couple of islands here and here. I think there might be a third one back behind there somewhere. Let's go explore a little bit. Okay, yeah, so we have this large island off to the right here, and then two smaller islands on the left. This one on the left looks like it has a fire ring, maybe a campsite. It'd be fun to camp on an island like this. Let's get out and explore a little bit. Here's a look at the island. There is not really a place to camp. Like I said, there is a fire ring, but there's not, there's no place big enough or wide enough really for a tent. I mean, a one-man tent could possibly fit right here. Like a tent that's skinny like mine could probably fit there, but yeah, cool little island. Here's island number 3, the smallest little island across the channel here. What a beautiful place. And I'm camped, let me show you a view of my campsite. Right over here, somewhere. Just spotted another little frog. Do you see him right in the middle there, underwater? All right, well, I think it's time to head back to camp, and I think it's time to break camp. Gonna go back, pack everything up, take down the tent and everything, and then we'll be on our way. This is an awesome little tent. I'll put a link to this down in the video description if you want to pick one up for yourself. And just like that, it's all clean. Cleaner than I found it. I'm ready to head back to the car. It's 10:30 now. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes me to get back. I'm guessing an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. I'm not going to film a ton because we've already gone through all of that scenery. We've gone through all of the places that I'll be passing back through. I'll just be reversing the course that I went to get here. But yeah, I'll see you guys back at the car with, I'm sure, several more bug bites on me. Oh, all right. It's 11:59, so it took an hour and a half, almost exactly, to get back to the car here. And I think I'm going to end the video here as I pack up the gear and I'm going to head back into town, get some lunch, and then I think I'm driving into North Dakota today. So I mean, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to be in North Dakota for the next video. But I hope you guys liked this video and this adventure. I had a really good time. A little bit out of the ordinary for me and for this channel, but I think it was still in the same spirit of adventure as the other things that I do here. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.